All right, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome back. Hope you guys had an entertaining break. At least able to clear your mind if you were not trading. We'll get to the trading in just a moment, but I'm sure there's some happy campers in the room. Let's give everyone a couple more minutes. Yeah, crypto, you're right. That bullish breaker did work. It sure did. In fact, it was the one on the 1 minute that worked as opposed to the 5 minute. And that's when you're just using the candle bodies. Obviously, if you extend to the wicks, even on the 5 minute. Oops. Yeah, so if I had extended the wicks and we had a zone that looked like this, right, obviously it would have worked as well. Confirmation would have been here as opposed to when I had the smaller zone, the confirmation was on this candle, I believe. Oops. Yep, because it would have been here at that top of this candle right there. So confirmation to being here, and then this was the retracement as opposed to confirmation being on this candle. So yeah, I was a bit early. Um, didn't take the second entry because lunch was coming up by the time I really was looking to get back in. But also last week I tried to take a second entry on a losing trade and I ended up losing both of them. So it was just something that was sitting in the back of my mind, and I was thinking, you know what, it's not worth it. Let's just wait for the next setup and see if I can't catch it first go around next time. And so that's part of the reason why I didn't take that second entry. But like I said, I felt like it was still valid, and anyone who was willing to take it, I thought it was a good trade to take. Just based on my history from last week, it just didn't sit well with me. Yep. So just before lunch, I mentioned that as we were building up, you would have the midnight open at 684, which it passed through. Seemed like no problem. We had the new day opening gap, new week opening gap, passed through. That seemed like no issue. Then there was the 15-minute breaker, and that's where we traded into. And so far, we've been rejecting out of it. So we'll wait and see if price can't continue to push and get through the next go round. But as of right now, we're getting a rejection out of the 15-minute bearish breaker that sent price reeling this morning. Yep. Yeah, you're right. Still early in the week. It's still Monday morning, or we just finished the morning session. So we're just getting into the afternoon for Monday. So we have this session plus 8 more for the week. Friday will be interesting this week since normally there's news on Friday, but not this Friday. Okay, now those levels I mentioned as it was going up that it seemed to go right on through is now testing it to see if it can provide support. So that's the new week opening gap in orange and the purple dash line, which is the midnight open. All right, 8:30 open is right here at 7:05. Doesn't look like that's been any point of confluence so far. And let's go over to the hourly chart. Let's take a peek at where the other indices are. Also, let's look at trading of the dollar and see how it is in relation to what we're looking at on Nasdaq. Okay, so if we look at the last two completed hours, we see two bearish candles threatening to take away the progress made during 10 o'clock for the dollar. Remember, it reached the first level we had marked off, and then it reached the second level. I was looking for a retracement, and actually I'm looking for a deep retracement, not just a small retracement and then a continuation. I'm looking for these to be more or less the highs it wanted to reach before sweeping like these equal lows or even back down into this zone. So I'm looking for a dollar to sell for a good portion of this week, if not the rest of the week. Whether that comes to fruition or not, we'll see. But that I have that bias based on being bullish for the equity market. Okay. So we can see Nasdaq was able to retrace all the way down to 78% before pushing higher. Just a little past 78%, maybe 1 or 2 points. We move over to S&P. S&P actually went even further than that. Went down to the 83.5%. Not quite 88.6, but close. And again, remember the Dow just completely wiped through the entire zone. Not quite past, not to a half standard deviation below, but it went pretty far. Well below the range from Friday and deep into Thursday, where there was a fair value gap right here. Right? Which now it has another one on the way back up. It created another one in the same spot. But even this fair value gap on the hourly, it still crashed through, closed below, but then the very next candle traded back inside. Okay, we're going to get back over to Nasdaq. Okay, let's take a look at ES then. Since some of you are talking about maybe trading ES, let's take a peek and see what's over here. All right. So we essentially have the same. We have all these equal highs. So at least 49.75 would be a play. Let's see what's next. All right, so New York high is the only that's still available. Is S&P as well. So S&P and Nasdaq both only have the New York high, which have not been swept. And then after that, it's just previous day high if you're looking for a session high or low. Okay, New York high is 49.75, and then 49.80 is another swing high on this 5-minute chart. Nami Khan, yes. Yes, those are our targets above for price to trade to. Long at 700 after the turtle soup. Awesome. Good job, Gavin. Oh, man. TJ got an extra analyst at home. Okay, Naomi Khan, just remember, I just switched over to S&P. I was on Nasdaq before, so I'm looking at a different chart right now. All right, we have now eclipsed. Looks like the lunchtime high, so maybe that's what I should mark up. Let's mark up the lunchtime high and low. The high went first. Let's also go over and do the same thing for Nasdaq. Same here. The high went first. And there we go. Hi, Esh. Welcome back. Good afternoon. Hey, Maker, welcome. $772. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, 772 was either the all-time high or either that was the high from Friday. It's one of those two. You see, it's probably high from Friday. Yep. Yeah, high from Friday was 775. The all-time high is 793. So both within range, only about 20 points away. Here's a long I just had marked up. I think I'm looking for a deeper retracement now. Okay. All right, Gavin. Yeah, I thought about taking an entry on the second retracement, and it just, I don't know. I want to see if it wants to move towards those lunch lows at all. And if it doesn't, it's fine. I'll just catch another setup tomorrow. It's okay. Okay. 15 minutes. Yeah, there we go. Erasing all the progress from last candle. Now we're back into the new week opening gap with the midnight open just below us. Keeping my eye down on 659, 660, the lunch low. Okay, midnight open within striking distance. %61 exactly. Look at that. Yep. Well, the 1 hour fair value gap is not confirmed yet. It's in the process of creating that 1 hour fair value gap. Okay, we still got another 2.5 minutes on this 15-minute candle, but it looks like it's trying to reject off the midnight open and not sweep through the 1300 open candle. Yeah, I did take a trade this morning just before lunch. It was out of this breaker block here. So we caught the reversal here. I was just a couple steps early, so my trade actually hit the stop loss, while many others stayed in the trade or on the retracement. They caught it the second go round. So let me go down and look and see. I'll show you where I was and where I entered. So I entered on this candle here, but the zone here was much smaller. It was a 5 minute. So I originally took my breaker off the 5 minute. So entering at the top of the breaker, having my stop a couple points below, but you can see it even pushed through and it stopped me out. Others had a larger stop loss, so they stayed in. And then also when it came back around a second time to trade inside, others took the long from here. I did not re-enter. So I didn't get that trade. Others re-entered and they carried it through lunch and was able to get 50, 60, 70 points out of it. So my trade, I was just a hair early. And those who either re-entered or had a larger stop loss were able to make out on this long here. So now we're in a position of consolidation. So yes, maybe we'll get a trade today. But yeah, you did miss the A+ setup here on a breaker block and on a reversal from the big leg down, and we had it turn around. So I would say that's probably the optimal trade to take today. There may be other opportunities, but this really was the one to get. And some caught it, some didn't, and it was just before lunch. Let's get back up to the 15. All right, another 15 seconds. This candle will close out. It looks like it's still rejecting off the midnight open price, the 686. And just as it's time to close, now we did a sweep. All right. So now we'll see if these lunchtime lows are in play. I felt like they might be, which is why I didn't take a long from up here. I wanted to see if we could get down here and sweep these lows. So let's see if that comes next. All right, Moraes, no problem. Thanks for joining. Thanks for coming back. And we're looking to see if we can get another 20 points down to 659. Hmm. You're now at the 50% of the new week opening gap. See if it rejects from there or if it overtakes that level. All right, new week opening gap has now been traded above again. Let's go down to the 5-minute here. All right, we still have the lunch low down at 659. That was the level we were hoping price would trade to kind of jumpstart this bullish momentum back up. So far, it hasn't been willing to do that. It hasn't been cooperating. It's got hung up around the midnight open. It bounced off of it a couple times and traded above the new week opening gap. Now it's back in the new week opening gap range, potentially going to trade below back to the midnight open. So let's just see if we get a sweep of these equal lows here. And if we get a sweep of these equal lows, then it's just these bullish fair value gaps just before we get to lunchtime low. All right, D. Anderson, good job. Yep, you're absolutely right, TJ. The more you worry about your own account, the better trader you become. And the less FOMO you have, better trader you'll become. Yeah. All right, let's see where we are now. Okay, this candle's closing. We got a new one opening. Yeah, those are people. I'm assuming these are new people, and so they're just super excited to see somebody take a trade, as in that they can see as a winning trade, and then they jump on and say, "Okay, I'll follow you. I'll believe what you say now. I've seen it happen." I'm assuming that's what it is. But yeah, I don't understand why they jump on the first thing they say. Did you take a trade? Um, Especially if you weren't able to join the session when it first started. It's probably best to just relax and just chill for a minute and see how things are going. Go ahead and stretch out this breaker some more. It's still holding. So until that break is invalidated, we'll keep it there. But as of now, I'm still looking for lower prices. Still looking to see if we can get down to the lunch low at 659. There you go, Fauci. Hey, good afternoon always works. Yep. So what I'm hoping to see something like this. No, somewhere in there. Well, even this can be up here. Doesn't matter. But I'm looking for a sweep of the lunch low, and I'm looking for it to return bullish. And the reason why I'm looking for the return bullish is because these equal highs didn't get touched, nor did we get the daily high. And that's just today. That's not even the previous day. Let's see. All right. If we're going to go for the lunchtime low, I'm still looking for a sweep of these two lows. And as of now, we're getting two candles that playing inside the zone has not reached for these external points here. It's only at 678, so it's not that far away. We'll give it a few more candles. We just had another one close. I don't know if you can see this, but it's actually a bearish fair value gap here that's been traded into twice now, the last two candles. And again, that pink is overlapping with the orange, which is the new week opening gap. Okay, we're still only halfway through the candle, but it looks like it's starting to pick up a little momentum through this bearish fair value gap. Maybe it found some support here in the new week opening gap. And as I say that, the candle melts down. So I will stop talking now. Yeah, I need to learn to wait until the last 30 seconds because that's when the real move for the candle happens. And it's also, it's not really surprising that this hours have been a little lackluster, have been slow. We did get, for the last 2 hours, right? 10 o'clock, we got a big push down. And then for the 11 o'clock hour, we got a return to higher prices, each roughly 100 points, or actually more than that, 150. Yep. So 150 points down, or a little more than that, and 150 points back up. So the fact that right now price is being a little lethargic, I guess we could have probably predicted that. Yes, we are 2 minutes. In 2 minutes we will. So that might be when we get our sweep of the low. $15-minute fair value gap overlaps a 1 hour. Is that a valid entry? It's definitely a higher probability entry if you find the same gap on multiple time frames. Hey, here we go. Drop down to the 1 minute so we can see more candles. Okay, we still have the dollar pushing for lower prices this hour. It's at the lowest it's been so far. So we're 10 minutes before the hour is over, and the dollar is still at its lowest threshold. So that's a good sign that the dollar is still pushing. Now we just need to see, so far this hour, only the Dow has pushed for higher prices. S&P and Nasdaq are pretty much at the exact place they were when we opened this hour. So we look at 1300 was right here at 693, and we're right now at 694. So S&P and Nasdaq so far do not have a candle body for the hour. All right, Fauci, looking for a long there. Still want to see 660. Want to see that swept. Not sure we're going to get it, but that's what I'm looking for. Previous day high. Okay. Wow. So, okay. So up to 775. That'll be a good landing spot. Yep. So first I want to see a sweep of a low, and then I want to see an energetic move the other direction. So far, even though we did sweep these equal lows on this movement down, there was no energetic move upwards. There was no fair value gap or anything to trade off of. Mm. Oh, then price coming down. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. So you're saying if it runs for a previous day high in the next half hour or so, we may get a retracement during the 3 o'clock hour. If it reaches the previous day high sometime during the 3 o'clock hour, we may just kind of stay up in that upper tier and maybe even reach even higher. Yep, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, we did get another retest of the midnight open. So far, we're getting rejected from there. Yep, you're right. So far, playing out really nicely. Okay, finally we got that breakthrough. So we do have a sweep of lows here. We've reached as far down as 677, 677. Remember, we're still looking for 660. But if we do get an energetic move up to where it looks like things are turning bullish again, we'll have to acknowledge that before reaching this lunchtime low. Mm. Yeah, another reason for optimism on things pushing lower is that we had a push up. We had a rejection from the top of this breaker block down, sweeping lows, and then we had consolidation immediately afterwards. So you would expect for the expansion to continue in the direction it was prior to consolidation, which is all of this, and then sideways, and then we expect it to push down. Let's see if somewhere in this range we get a push downwards. But if we don't, we'll react to that as well. $78. Okay, it's here. Okay, there we are. So let's see if we get that upper level at 700 flat. Let's see if we get that broken. Yep. Okay, so we did get a clip of the level of the 700 flat. All right, so 1 and 2 minute have the same levels for fair value gap. Three-minute has not created it yet, and it won't because it's already past the level. 4 minutes also will not get one, and 5 minute won't get one either. So there's only the 1 and 2 minute if you're looking for a fair value gap here. Okay, it's leaving behind equal highs at 700. You got a closure right on this fair value gap, even though it pushed through both the fair value gap and the new week opening gap. Opening on the next candle in the same position, it's now gaining some momentum. Still need to wait for this one to close and see where it lands. Let's also take a look at the 2-minute, which has the same fair value gap area. Okay, no, the 2-minute, I'm sorry, it was up a little higher. It's already closed below, so that's been invalidated. Same with the 1-minute, but the 1-minute had another one down here. So that's what that is. All right, now that's been invalidated. Okay. Looks like we're pushing towards these equal lows down at 678. All right, still been stuck in this 20-point range for the last 40 minutes or so. We're still here. Go ahead and mark up equilibrium on this area. All right, basically right where we are. Take shorts above, longs below. Okay, we'll wait for the macro to finish in another 4 minutes. Another 4 minutes. We'll wait for that to finish, and then we'll see where we are as far as market structure. Yep. So right now, we're slightly bullish on this 1-minute time frame. All right, there we go. Bigger, much larger push than what we've seen before. Big impulse candle there. Much larger fair value gap created. Let's see if this is the only time frame. Okay. Let me just shift this out of the way for a moment, just so it's a little cleaner looking at the candles. Hmm. Yep. Um, no, Fauci, I don't think it means anything if it's large or small. It just, I mean, if it's large, you're going to obviously have to take a larger stop loss, which then means your TP will be larger. So you'll just be looking at a greater, at least the way I trade, I do try to do 1 to 2. So it just depends on my risk that determines my reward. Yeah, but there can be some stop losses that are just too large. You just don't want to risk 40 points, even though TP says you'll get 80. You just don't want to risk 40 points. It's just not worth it. So sometimes that's the case, and you may have to drop down to a smaller time frame, or in what you would do if the stop loss is too large, then you pick that 50% mark and you say, I'm waiting for it to retrace there. If it doesn't get to the 50% mark, I can't enter because the risk is too great. Yeah, laughter. I hear you. I know you guys want more, but yeah, it looks like that push upwards is coming now. I didn't like the fact that there was no fair value gap on the 5 minute, but it did create itself on the 2 minute here. Probably the one as well, but I did see it on the two. Yep, the one and the two. And so I lined this here up as a trade for the 2 minute for anyone who may have wanted that entry. It's looks like 16 and a half points on the stop loss, so a 33-point TP. But you do have the New York high at 739, so you can take the extra 6 points. And so instead of it being 33, take a 39-point TP there. Yep. I'm a little disappointed that the lunchtime low didn't get swept, but it's okay. It doesn't always happen. All right, let's go over to the calendar here. And someone just mentioned there's an event going on right now, and somehow I was unable to see that. So let's see what happened here. Monday. Okay, so the yellow. All right, member Bostic speaking. Pre-recorded opening remarks for a virtual conference hosted by the Federal Reserve, banks of Atlanta, Boston, Cleveland, Philadelphia, San Francisco, and St. Louis. So this is the Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta doing the speaking today. Okay. But it says it's a yellow folder, says low impact expected. So we'll see what that means. Let's get back in. All right, looks like we're getting retracement back down to that same entry level of this trade. Which means at the 1 minute, same thing's happening. 3 minute, potentially is the, yep, 3 minutes, the first time actually trading into the fair value gap at 1700 and a quarter, as opposed to the others at 699 and a quarter. So it's 1 point higher on the 3 minute than the one in the two. 4 minutes, still nothing. 5 minutes, still no fair value gap. All right, so maybe the FOMC member speaking gave you this retracement just in case you wanted to enter this trade idea. Okay. Oh, CEO, how you doing? Good afternoon. Peace, man. Okay, we see a deeper dig into that fair value gap now. This is the 1 minute, but obviously it's the same on the 2. And we see finally a real dig into the 3 minute fair value gap. All right, back to test the new week opening gap. All right, look at that rejection there. Close out the candle now above the entry on the 3 minute. Wow. Some candle and now it's probably ready to go. Right, still having some rejection issues, just like the last 4 or 5 candles. Oh, CEO. Okay, so the first thing you'll need to do is you need to go into Tradovate, Tradovate.com, and log into there. You know what? It's probably easier. Let me find the instructions. I'll send you a link. Just give me 1 second. All right, CEO, there you go. Try that one. Try that link. I'll give you some instructions. Yeah, price still doesn't look like it wants to break out, even though it appeared so a few minutes ago. Right, looks like another one of those patterns where 20 minutes from now you see price all the way up here, and it just did this little slow grind, and before you knew it, it was 30 points ahead of where you were. But it's definitely high resistance. So if you're in, don't start shifting your stop loss. It's gonna just wreck your trade. So either if you want to shift your stop loss, decide if you want to just exit where it currently is, because if you shift your stop loss, it's definitely going to come back on you with the way price is moving now, where it's, you know, pretty much the highs and lows are all being touched. It's coming back down to the lows, going back up to the highs, coming back down to the lows. So it is making progress. It is making higher prices, but it's touching those lows before it does it. And so if you move your stop loss, you might be in trouble. Okay, maybe it wants to break out now. Maybe this is its moment. Yeah, I'm not super confident in what I'm looking at right here. So I took this in my demo at 707. So we'll see how that works out. But I just don't like how it's all bunched up here and it doesn't want to break out. But there's no doubt that price action is bullish, and on the majority of the time frames, price action is bullish. Let me take a look at the dollar and see where it is. Okay, so the dollar's had 3 consecutive hours of selling. Obviously, this hour we're halfway through it, and so far it hasn't really made any movements. So it's been kind of like what we've been seeing for 30 minutes, where it just kind of sat in one area. Same thing happened to the dollar. In fact, let's just take a look at it instead of having me explain it. All right, there we go. Let me make it a little larger for you. But you can see for this hour, just hasn't really been much activity at all. Small range, and it's still at the opening price, so there's not a candle body anywhere. We've seen a good pullback from the Dow. Remember, the Dow pushed well below full retracement, so it's now back within the zone. You see the S&P now pulling back up into its consolidation zone before the big sell-off this morning, so it's recovered that entire short. Now looking for these equal highs or daily highs, and we have the same thing on Nasdaq. Nasdaq is a little bit behind S&P, so it has a little ways to go to get up to these equal highs, but we're still looking for that. It's about 20 points away now. Oh, awesome, CEO. Awesome, awesome. Yeah, sometimes I usually when once a month or so, sometimes it'll disconnect. And so you'll have to go back. So just remember what you just did. You'll have to go in, I believe it once a month, and reconnect everything. George, I did not enter. No, I did not enter on this one. I have it in on my demo on a different screen that you're not looking at. But in my Topstep account, I did not take this trade. Oh, that's what happened. Oh, okay. Got it. Yeah, I think it threw me off the first time it happened to me too. No problem, George. Yeah, Khalid, I am not in the trade now. I attempted one earlier. It didn't work out for me. I was just, 10 minutes too early for the move up from like 11 o'clock. So I missed out on that one. Some others did catch it. But I am currently in this setup on demo. You can't see it. It's on a different screen. I have several screens that I work with here. But my Topstep account, I'm not making this trade. No. But usually what will happen is you'll see me highlight and outline trades as I see them. They're not always a trade for me, so I'm not always going to take them, but I will point them out for anyone who's unfamiliar or maybe not able to pay attention as much because maybe you're at work and you're just listening in. But I will point out which trades set up and just leave them there, and you can watch them. So for those who aren't as familiar or aren't as skilled, you can just sit back and watch these trades to see how they develop and if they work out. And then if they work out, then you can start believing in that type of setup going forward. So there's still some to be gained and a knowledge to be learned, even if I'm not actually in the trade. I'm at least showing you where they are. Yeah, Fauci, I have these four screens that are 27 inches, so they're pretty big. So if I want to look in the top left, you're going to see me look like this, and you're going to wonder what I'm doing. And it's because the screen is it's up there. Um, but for the most part, I'm always looking at the screen as to my bottom right. But yeah, Fauci, so I can show you what my setup is. My setup is the one that I missed this morning. All right, hopefully this setup that I showed you guys doesn't deliver while I'm showing you this, but if it does, it's fine. So the setup that I like is the breaker. I like the breaker more than any of the others. The breaker, which goes into ICT's 2022 mentorship model, which also goes into the unicorn model. So it kind of all goes together. So it starts with the breaker. When you get the trade above and you trade back in, there should be a fair value gap inside, which creates the unicorn model, right? So you have a breaker, you have a sweep of liquidity below, trade back above, trade back into the breaker where there's a fair value gap, and then you take it out and you target. Either you can put your TP going from the fair value gap, which then would be a 1 to 2 trade, depending on where your stop loss is. You can also take it from the breaker and do a 1 to 2 trade and put your stop just below the breaker. So it depends on how big the breaker is. Or In this case, you can target like equal highs or a session high. And in that case, you can see there's been a bit of a retracement. So you just have to wait to finally TP out. It didn't happen between 11 and 12. You're now going to have to wait until looks like almost 3 o'clock for that to happen. Right. So if you're not looking to hold for 3 or 4 hours, then a lot of time a 1 to 2 trade will get you out in whatever the current leg is. That is my go-to. Absolutely, Fauci. That is the one I'm looking for every day. And that's why you see me whenever there's a continuation, you see me hesitate or not get into the trade. And it's because I like the pivot and the change in direction, which is what the breaker gives you. It gives you the change in direction. So for me, I'd rather catch a move at the bottom and ride it to the top as opposed to catch it at the top and hope that, or catch it somewhere in the middle and hope that it still has room to grow, as opposed to a retracement and then I end up losing even though I got in on the right side. So I just like to get in early and then ride it. All right, let's get back over to the trade setup that I had put out there, and it just delivered to the tick, 33 points. But remember I said you could stay in if you want to stay to the New York high and get those extra 6 points. So now let's look and see if it gets there. Fauci, I have another, right? So the 2022, you can use it even if it doesn't have, I'm sorry, not the 2022, but yeah, you can take the 2022 from a fair value gap without using the breaker. So taking the 2022 without using the breaker would be, for instance, instead of catching the retracement back here, if it traded out and you missed it, then you would just catch another fair value gap along the way. So you'd have hoped to have caught one of these two, and likely on a smaller time frame you could have. Let's go to the 3 minute. Down to 2. Okay, maybe not. It looks like on this trade, if you didn't get in and somewhere inside the breaker, looks like it would have been hard to get in. Okay, here. So here on the 1 minute, if you didn't catch the breaker, you could have still caught this. You break these equal highs, you leave a fair value gap there, and you could have just taken one of those and continued it on. Trying to look and see. I use a scalping model sometime. That's something that can catch in between the range and catch something for 5 to 10 points. But I really like the breaker with the unicorn. Oh, look at that. They got almost there within a couple ticks. What's the high is 738 3/4 as opposed to 739.5. All right, so you're less than a point away from hitting that New York high. Let's go back to the 5 minute. All right, let's go back one at a time, Fauci. So you say the stop loss, if I entered on the breaker at the top of the breaker, I go to the bottom of the breaker and just, kind of eyeball it. You get it either 2.5 points, something below. If I want to enter at the fair value gap, I can do that as well. And in that case, my fair value gap stop loss is always take the candle that made the fair value gap, go to the one to the left, and whatever its lower wick is, that's where you place it. Aggressively without the retracement back for the first rally. You're saying aggressively, what if this just pulled out and never retraced back and just kept buying up? Well, in that case, if it just keeps buying up, you get to decide whether you just let it go. Or if you don't want to just let it go, you can always, whenever you get a candle closing in the opposite direction, as soon as it closes, you can enter. Even in this case, it closed another candle in that same direction and had a pretty nice wick. But if you had taken an entry here, once the candle closed here and you put your stop below the candle to the left, it would have still held you in. So if you want to take an aggressive entry, you absolutely can. But just remember, aggressive entries, you're doing market executions and you get a bad feel. So it's just a lot of things that go along with taking aggressive entries as opposed to having your level traded back to. All right, looks like we're going to make another run, another pass at the New York high. See if we can't push through it this time. Show of hands, how many people are in longs now? Who are in longs? Oh, are you in a buy? You're currently buying. You're in the middle. So this is for Nomi. So this is saying that you're currently in a trade and you're buying. That's a long. If you're selling, then we call that a short. All right, Darius, good job. Way to go. All right, Vivian. 215 and you was in Fauci. Okay. Just close the ES long. All right, Splash. Looks like ES was on the same program as Nasdaq, so you should have done well. Should have at least been able to collect some gains there. You just closed, Nami. Okay. Right. Scale the ES gap a little. All right. Any brand new people, or if you've only been doing this for several months, you definitely should be using demo. So if you're not in demo, make sure you are. If you're not sure how to do that, if you're using TradingView, as soon as you go down to where the brokers are, it should be the very first one. It'll say TradingView is your broker, and it'll say paper trading. Just select that, and then you can enter trades without it affecting anything else. It'll give you an opportunity to know what it feels like, get an opportunity to see if you're able to do this, if your strategies work without ripping apart your account. All out. All right, D. Anderson. Okay, so that daily high. So now all highs, all lows have been taken except for lunch low. Go ahead and take this long tool out. It did deliver. So 2.36. Let's see where the absolute high was. Absolute high was up here. So it gave 2.5x for anyone who took the setup as I outlined it. $12.35 to $2.30. All right. So first, Fauci, first tell me which one. Is it a bullish or bearish? Well, we'll start there. Bullish or bearish breaker? Okay, so bullish. All right. So if you're saying this is a bullish breaker, you got to remember we need the last leg needs to be the leg that pushes up. And then we get the retracement back down. So if you're saying to 230, you're saying all of this. Okay. So that means we have to start low, right here. Oops. Low to high, then lower than the previous low, and then higher than the previous high. Okay. So for that to happen, that means we have to, at least on this 5-minute chart, we have to start here. Because wherever we start, we need price to go lower than that. And you can't pick a candle that's part of a chain. So if you choose this candle here at 1235, then you have to pick the entire leg. And in that case, we never traded below that. So what you're going to want to do is to pick the next leg, because this next leg also made a high and higher than this high. So this leg becomes preferred. So then we'll take these 3 candles, we'll color them blue, we'll bunch them together, and then we'll stretch this across. We got to trade below. You're right about that. Then we got to trade above and a close. If we get a trade back down, then you could reasonably expect for there to be a push outwards. So in that case, we would say our breaker was from 1300 to 1310 or 1315, 1300 to 1315. But the crazy part is we had a bearish breaker here from this morning that sent price reeling below. So Fauci, what you just brought up was putting a bullish breaker from the 5-minute on top of a bearish breaker from the 15. So this bullish one ultimately invalidated the bearish one. But you can see how hard that was. It took quite a while. It pushed in first at 12:30, came back again at 1 o'clock, just kept tagging it at 2 o'clock, and finally after 2:30 it was able to get through. Okay, so this one comes off. The bearish one is no longer valid. New target. Well, the new target, assuming you're still in a long, you're still in. If you're still in a long, the next target is going to be, let's see, 1775. It's also a level that we've heard others in the chat talk about. So this is the high from Friday. So this is the previous day high. And then we have the all-time high just sitting 20 points higher than that. All right. You should, yeah, know me. Price is still bullish. I can't tell you to buy or where to buy, but price is still bullish right now. That's the way price action is looking. We do have additional pools of liquidity above us that we could trade to. But again, we also have this lunch low that we didn't trade to before. And so I'm not saying that we won't reach for that. But if price remains bullish and you continue to see higher prices, then these are the next places it's going to go to. But you said you were in a buy already and you closed your trade. So I'm not sure why you closed it. If you're interested in getting back in. But it sounds like you're still new to this. So I would say definitely make sure you're in demo. If you're not in demo, then yeah, switch your account over to demo. Make sure you're in demo if you're going to take anything. But I am looking for higher prices here. Right, so if it retraces down, you got a couple options. You can go for a sweep of a low, because we can see we have equals. Oops. Right, we have all these equal lows. You can go a sweep of a low and then back up. Or if you feel like this retracement was enough, the previous one, then you can look at what this retracement level would be. So retracing back to this breaker is 50%. So that gets you right to discount, which is where you need to be if you want to look for a long. So that could be a good place to start. All right, George. See you tomorrow. Take care. Stop loss is huge. What do you mean for here, Fauci? You're saying for the breaker, getting in at 719 and having a stop down at 696. It's a little less than 25 points. I've taken a bunch of 25-point stop loss trades. Remember, I said if you take that, then you're looking for a 1 to 2. So then you're looking for 50 points as your profit. So you just adjust it. But again, if you don't, if that's too large for you, you can start moving down in time frame. So you can go down here. We're at the 4-minute. So look, the 4-minute, the breaker is here. Right. And in fact, on the 4-minute, we had a trade above and a close, and then the next candle traded down into it and out. Right. So this makes it a little smaller than the 3-minute. Well, the 3-minute makes it larger because we'll have to incorporate the other candle. See, it's the same. It keeps getting larger and larger. So 4-minute had the smallest one. So if you're really concerned about the stop loss, you want to enter here on the 4-minute. And if it's still the range, because now it's at 712 down to 691, so 21. So you just saved yourself 2 points, but it's still a lot. If that's too much, then what you want to do is you want to set your entry at the 50%, because then that allows you to go from 701 down to 691 and maybe a couple more points. So you're looking at 10 to 12 points on the stop loss if you take it at 50%. So you can always do that if it fits your trading profile better. Just understand, if you require 50% retracement to enter the trade, it may not come to you. It may come and touch just the top and then go, and then you're not in. So just keep that in mind. Those who risk more get rewarded more. But as you can see, I don't take a lot of risk, but I also don't have a ton of wins. You don't see me with 4 or 5 wins every day. Let's get back up to the 5. Stretch this back up here. Right, even here, the 50% is at the 70.1 retracement level, which is the optimal trade entry. So that could be something that you were looking at, saying, you know what, I'm just going to wait until it comes down and hits my level. If it doesn't hit my level, then I won't take the trade. But if it does, that's when I'll do it. Yeah, so Fauci, this could be what you do. You just sit here right at 50% and you say, that's the trade I want. That's the one I want to protect myself against. And see, a 1 to 2, you can get a 1 to 2 trade without even eclipsing the high, just because you were able to, well, because you wanted to catch it in the center of the breaker as opposed to at the very top. And that would still allow you to get 30 points, which is more than enough in a daily for a 1 day of gains. Okay, it's too big. Hey, coming up on 3 o'clock, everyone. Coming on 3 o'clock. Power hour is upon us. We drop down to the 1 minute just so we can see all the individual candles for this little macro period we have here. All right, I want to send a reminder to everyone who's enjoying the content and forgot or just haven't thought about hitting the like button. If you can go ahead and do that. We got another hour to go. I want to see if YouTube can send us a few more traders who can join the room and get a feel for how we trade and the mood of the room and whether they want to join us. All right, TikTok, welcome to the room. And if you have any questions, go ahead and put in the chat. Let us know. Also, how's your trading journey been going? How long have you been trading? Off and on for about a year. Okay. Oh, okay. So you were Apex. Okay, got it. Well, again, welcome to the room. Yes, I am. Shamir, I am doing everyday live streaming. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel. It'll give you you'll get the invitation every morning. So when you open up YouTube, it'll already be suggested for you. Yes, sir. We're doing 9:15 in the morning and we do 1300 in the afternoon. Discord link still not working. All right, let me double check that. Thought I had fixed that already. All right, Mario, here you go. All right. Yeah, Mario, if you know any other traders who are just trading on their own or also looking for a trading room to belong to and another group, someone to help them along their path, just send them an invitation or send them our link, give our name, however you do it. TikTok, it is Topstep. Hmm. Oh man, I was looking at the chat. I completely took my eyes off the chart. Hey, so I had set up this just to see when structure would be broken. And it looks like we got it 2 candles ago and then a big cave down. So we're at 721 right now. And if I zoom out, I'm sure some of you will be excited to see where we are. Okay. All right, KB. Yeah, that's what you should do. Stay in demo. And then when you feel really confident about a setup, then you could switch over. Okay. Okay, Nami. Good. Good. You're going to come back tomorrow. No problem, KB. Glad you're here and you keep tuning in every day. Just continue to come back and eventually those lessons will turn into executions. uh, Sweaty palms. I will trade with 1 minute when I get down to it. When it's time to execute and enter a trade, you will see me shift down to the 1 minute and look for a better entry. But the 5 minute I find gives you better setups, more reliable setups. Oh, wow. Complete meltdown. Didn't see that coming. All right. So my lunchtime lows coming. Is that what's coming to us? After we took out New York highs, I almost wanted to say it. I said, okay, all right, New York high is gone. That only leaves one session, a higher low that's remaining, and it's the lunchtime low. I didn't want to say it just because I'm not sure lunch is actually a session. Just something we throw out there. Mm. MS Silver Bullet is 2 to 3. So Silver Bullet was last hour. We had the Fed come on and it sent prices to the high of this morning, and then we had a meltdown. Yep, let's see where we finish off on this 5 minute. This 5 minute candle. We have another minute remaining. I went back and I made sure that at least everything through last week, through last Monday, has the correct Discord address on it now. So the expired link is no longer on it unless you click something before last week. I'll go back and update those later, but for now, we'll just be happy with what we have. All right, that concludes our macro. Let's now go down. Let's look at the lower time frame and see where we are. Here, also here. All right, back to the midnight open. So 684, you see it tap right there and then trade off of it. Hmm. All right, let's see if we get a push from somewhere in this area. I don't think it'll come off the midnight open, but it could. We could get a sweep of this 678 equal lows, and then maybe a push up, or we may actually hit that lunch low that we've been talking about. Hey, so January 23rd. Dang, TJ. All right, Splash. We'll catch you tomorrow. Thanks for dropping by today. Yep. There we go. All right, so we did take out these lows from the 1 o'clock hour from around 1:30ish, 1:30 and 2 o'clock. So we'll delete this line. We don't need it any longer. We'll just see if price wants to continue pushing lower and whether these lunch lows are into play. $6.59. Another 25 points below is what we're looking for. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Gavin, we had a handful of people catch the short. Long term on a higher time frame, yes, we are still bullish. The lower time frames are not aligning with that sentiment at the moment. In fact, let's get to even lower than this, and let's see when we flip back over. Okay, yep, looks like we're still bearish and on the lowest time frame. We don't get back bullish to around 705. So we still have it's around the 830 open as if it was going to flip back, but then even then it's just the 1 minute and all the other time frames will still be bearish. So you wouldn't have a lot of confirmation that early. But let's continue to let price deliver, and we'll see if things change soon. Because one thing if you want to flip market structure pretty quickly, the easiest way to do it would be to make consecutive extremes. So to make consecutive lows would make the high somewhere in this range, would make it easier to break for to return bullish. But if it doesn't make a new low, then you're talking about to get bullish, you need to get back up in this range, which is much more difficult than it is if you were here. So if we get a sweep of this low, like another sweep down, then to return bullish is much more feasible because it's a lot closer. Um, and then that would be on more than just this time frame. So that's what would happen. So if you start looking and you're waiting for a reversal, what you want to see is you want to see it make a low, and then you want to see it make another low, and even potentially make another low in this area. So then to then get back bullish and overcome all the highs would all be in the same range. Oh, geez, Gavin, you got almost 50 points. That's amazing. That's quite possible, Gavin. Don't underestimate the market makers. They definitely are not in a position to want you to win. Uh, well, slash, we can't do that. All of our trades, since we are prop firm traders, 90% of us, We have to close our trade by 4:10 today. So in about less than an hour, we need to close our trades. Oh, I'm sorry. Who was that who asked me about an inverted fair value gap? Dustin, is that an inverted fair value gap or 1 hour? Let me check on that. Well, not. I wouldn't say inverted. No, it's a bullish fair value gap if I'm reading it correctly. Yep, I'll pull it up on the hour so you can see. And everyone asked me, is there an inverted fair value gap? And I think you're talking about this here. And this morning, yes, this was an inverted fair value gap. However, when it was invalidated here during lunch, and then the 1 o'clock hour came down and traded just here, but it didn't take out the lunch low. It created the same fair value gap on this side. So there's no need to even worry about whether this is an inverse or not, because now we have the bullish for the same size, same location on the other side. But had we not had this, then you'd have been absolutely right. It's an inverse fair value gap, and we could have tried to use it. All right, so we're above the new week opening gap once again. We had a closure open right on the midnight open. So let's get back down to the 1 minute. Let's see. Here and here. This is what will help us change back to bullish sentiment on only on the 1 minute. 2 minute, let's see. No, the 2 minute doesn't tell me anything. Nope, it's only the 1 minute. Let's see about the 30-second. Right, so the 30-second, 696.75, 697. All right, so the 30-second actually was broken here at 318. Right, so I can remove this. We're looking for longs again, only on the 1 minute. The other times have not indicated that. Higher time frames have still been bullish. They never changed. And I'm talking about above the 15 minute. Yep. So slash, looks like at least so far you were right. Price is moving upwards. It is showing it's bullish. Okay. Hmm. Mm-mm-mm. Yeah, so Neil, I remember you asked me a very similar question last week. First thing what you want to do is switch over to your demo account. Okay. Um, do not try to make money just yet. There's still a lot about trading you still need to learn. There's a lot about how price moves that you need to learn. So it's more than just sort of some of the, I guess, the tactics in entering a trade or how to manage a trade. You actually have to practice doing it, and you have to figure out which model you like. So it's important that you figure out a model that you like and understand um, what type of price action you should look for to find that model. So stop trading live funds, stop trading challenges if you're trying to get funded from one of the prop firms. Switch over to your demo account and start practicing there. Make sure that you're not putting real money on the table when you enter these trades, because you still have quite a bit to learn. You can do it, but you got to get there. And right now, it sounds like you're not there yet. So save yourself the trouble and the capital, and let's just continue practicing. And if you have more questions, keep asking questions and continue practicing. Yep. So Neil, probably one of the issues you're having is probably similar to what I had. And it's that I traded differently when I knew it was real money as opposed to when I knew it didn't matter. So when I knew it didn't matter, it was easier to go in with more contracts. It was easier to take a partial and hold. It was easier to watch a retracement come all the way back to the origin and stay in the trade. There's just so many things that are built into the psychology of trading that you're going to have to want to you're going to have to conquer that as well. Like that's going to be part of your training, part of your learning. So until you get the psychology piece together on real trades, I would say definitely stay in your demo. Have you listened to or read Trading in the Zone yet? So Neil, I traded more real money my first year of trading than I did my second or third year of trading. So if that's any judge, then yeah, we all walk in, and in the very beginning, we think that it's going to be a 2 to 3 month process, and then we're going to hit the ground running and be rich by the end of year number one. And then we realize by the end of year number one, there's so much we don't know, and we spend year number two figuring that out. Yep. And like TJ is saying, if you go in early with real money, you then have to repair yourself from that damage you're doing to yourself. So just save yourself that damage. Don't do it. read Trading in the Zone, watch the video on YouTube, one of the two. And then once you fully understand what Trading in the Zone is telling you, then do the second part of that. So it's first you accept the risk. But the second part of that is you have to be very, very, very methodical in how you enter trades. So it's exactly the same every time. $14.33 high and low. How would I trade this candle? Are you asking me why this fair value gap didn't hold? Is that what you're asking? So not this one. You said the white candle. This one? This white candle? Is that what you're saying? Is this after 1439? Oh, this white candle. Okay. Is this the one you're talking about? Yeah, I don't, you say how to trade it. Well, the thing is, this was our target. So it was the high from this morning that had not been touched since it was made here at 8 o'clock, really. So at 8 o'clock, that high was made. And this was the first time returning to that level. This is something that you'll learn the more you look at price action. But whenever you get price reaching a level that it's been reaching for, it'll always retrace after it gets there. Now, it doesn't always immediately retrace. Sometimes what it'll do is it'll do this, and then it'll go up a little higher, trace a little higher, and then you'll start getting a retracement back down, right? It doesn't always immediately retrace, but you always will get a retracement once it reaches a level. And generally what I find is that after it reaches a level, like when it's in a trend, it'll come down, it'll hit an order block, and then it'll carry on. Come down, hit an order block, and carry on. Once it hit a key level, it'll skip the order block, and it's looking for a fair value gap. So in this case, instead of hitting this level and carrying on and still going up, it hit that level, traded through it, and found a fair value gap. And now it's starting to build itself back up. But yes, here, when you reach a level, like if this was a level we were trying to get to, you always want to be careful once it reaches there. You don't want to enter along and say, okay, well, we're going to go to the next one. Because yes, we may, but before that, we need to come back down. So if there's ever a long and you missed out on the trade and you want to catch it, you got to wait for the retracement. You got to catch it when it's pulling back, not when it's reaching for new targets. D. Anderson, take care. All right. Thanks for being here today. Appreciate you. Nope. Nope. So Swanil, if you want to take a long, like I said, so you wait for this to be achieved and you start seeing it pulling down. And that's when you come in your measure and you want to get in below 50%, somewhere below 50, right? So anywhere below here is where you'd have been looking for an entry. But remember, you're just looking for an entry here. Now you still need to find an entry pattern. You need something to say now. And so that's where trading and your back testing, you start to figure out what you like and what you don't like. Some people want to enter on a order block. Others want to enter on a fair value gap, which is down here. This orange area is a new week opening gap. If you felt like that was going to hold price, then you could have entered there and put your stop below it. There are a lot of different ways to enter. Or you could have just looked at and saw all of these equal lows and you say, I think it's going to sweep these lows and then I can enter. And that's actually what happened. It swept the lows and then started building out. But again, it's not just enter at a certain level. It's get ready at a certain level and find your entry model. So I know if it keeps going up and it doesn't come to your entry, then that's a trade you miss. You just missed that trade. You can't catch every trade. In fact, most people blow their accounts because they try to catch every trade. So don't do that. Know exactly what you're looking for and you wait for that. Four a.m. opening price on my chart is crazy. Okay. Similar next with the midnight open. Yep. Okay. Yeah, Gavin, I don't have 8 o'clock, but I do have 8:30. ICT likes 8:30, so I got used to using that. So to do midnight and 8:30. I've never tried 4 o'clock, so I'm curious as to what that is. I know it's probably one of the key levels during the London session. But yeah, I've never seen it or never tried it. But if it works for you, then by all means, keep trying it, keep testing it. And if you find an entry model from it, then it may just be your unique model that only you're using. Swapnil, if I were you, this is how I would. If you're new to the point to where you really don't have any entry model and you don't know exactly what you should be doing, first thing I would do is I would go to ICT's webpage. I would go to his playlist and I would look up the 2022 entry model and I would study that. First 20 episodes. It's going to take about a month probably, but I would study that and I would understand exactly how that works. Then what I would do is I would go into the charts every single day and I would look at the big move of the day and say, all right, if I wanted to catch this move, how would I have caught this move? And then you start looking at the mechanics of how price, as it's trading down, starts to slow down and which signs does it give you? Where are the fair value gaps? When does it turn around? What does it show you when it turns around? And start to develop your eye into seeing what you need to see so you find confidence in these type of setups. And just master one thing at a time. Get one setup, one that you like, one that you know, one that you can do. And then from there, build your trading skill from there. But you're definitely going to have to just narrow it down to just one skill in the beginning and practice it. 697. Okay, it's the opening of the 4 hour. Yep, it sure is. So it's a 2 o'clock open is essentially what it is. All right, Swanil, there you go. There's a link to that playlist. It's just you only really need to focus on the first 20, 22 maybe, I think, videos. It'll give you everything you need. You can then bring that skill and bring it back to the room, and it'll make much more sense as you're watching the things that I'm talking about or the way that I'm looking at the candles. Yep. All right, Gavin, thank you very much for that. All right, everyone, we got about 15 minutes left and 5 minutes before that last 10 minutes where we can sometimes see some fireworks in the market. But we have 15 minutes left in total. So go ahead, and if you have any additional questions, throw them in the chat. Let's make sure we tackle all of them. I'm even willing to go a little longer if there are more questions that need to be answered. Get better entries. It goes my way after it's my stop. Yeah, I hate that Fauci for sure. Definitely for sure. Just and you saw it do that to me this morning when I got in down here because I entered on the 5 minute where the breaker was a little bit smaller. Came down, tapped me out, went up, came right back in. I didn't believe in it the second go round, and then it took off for 100 points, and everyone else got a couple $1,000s per contract. Yep. But Fauci, the reason why I can be optimistic about tomorrow is I saw this exact setup. I saw it happening. It's my model that I like to use, and it just didn't work out for me this time. Mm-mm. Right. So we know it switched back bullish on the 1 minute. Let's see if the 2 minute did a flip as well. Doesn't look like it did one there. 3 minute gave us a fair value gap that it violated and then still used. So a reclaimed fair value gap, not an inversion, but a reclaimed one. Hmm. Yeah, you're right. When you get in late, it will come back, tag your entry. Oh, you're saying it doesn't? Yeah, you're right. It doesn't hit because you'll find a new fair value gap. You say, okay, well, I'll get in here. And then price decides it doesn't want to retrace anymore. Yep, that's the nature of the beast. And that's why when you get in early, it's important that you ride it to the top because you may not be able to get in securely later on. No sense in bagging a lot of profits in the morning and then sweating all afternoon because you keep getting in locations that it's not giving you any comfort. All right, everyone. Final 10 minutes. Okay. Okay, let's see if we get another run into these New York highs, maybe sweep this cluster of highs that we got from 245. Running there would give about 35 points. Oh, I see. That was your TP. Those swing highs up at 739. Yeah, Fauci. Another thing I noticed is between 3 and 4 o'clock, it seems like the retracements are deeper, and they're always sweeping lows before the move happens. There's always a liquidity sweep before. Yep. Okay, so you were just in here somewhere. Yeah, I would say if I was in a long going all the way up, this one right here is probably a nice exit, either there or the wick. But yeah, probably not higher than that. So what's that? 2 points and a quarter, or if we move it down to the body, 4 points, 3.5 points. Yeah. Yep, that's exactly how I like to exit my trades too. When I'm looking to sweep an extreme level, just like to pull out 4 points before that, and especially when we're looking at it at 350. Taking a contract, tap the 1 hour fair value gap. Mm-hmm. Is it coming back on us? They're just giving us a 50% entry down here at 712. Kind of turquoise area is the optimal trade entry. So for these two candle leg that took out this high, these two candles, retracement, 61% is the top of the blues, 70% is the center, 78% is the bottom. Let's see if that also becomes a floor for price, provides some support, and actually pushes it through this New York high. Welcome back, crypto. Welcome back. Okay, we got a new high now. Well, a new high for this price leg. We still need another 20 points, though. 15 points. Don't worry, Fauci. We've all been there. I've heard some people talk about meditating, and they say they see their setup when they're meditating. So they just look at their setup in their head over and over again. So when they do see it on the charts, it's more familiar. Okay, you got another 3.5 minutes. Let's see if it can't push through the 739 level and then ultimately get to these highs that were made at 745. Not sure 775 is coming today, but 745 should be doable. All right, 3 minutes. We just want to see if it can push through this fair value gap it's sitting in right now. Robin, no, I normally look at the 5. The 5 and the 1, but anything in between, you can also find a 2022 because sometimes it may not always show up on the 1 minute. But generally, you want to use the 5 minute for deeper confirmation. And then when you get down to execution time, then you want to slide to the 1 and look for that fair value gap inside. If you don't find it on the 1, then that's when you cycle through the 2, 3, and 4. You'll you'll find it on one or multiple of those time frames. All right, looks like there's been a full retracement here, right up to 4 o'clock. So it does not want to reach for those New York highs again. All right, so we got a little fake out here where it gave us all we can handle just until it got to the fair value gap here and then realized that was too much. Didn't push through it. Okay. Back to the midnight open at 4 o'clock. So what this is saying is there has now been, 14 hours of trading, up and down, back to the original value. Actually, more than 14 hours, 16 hours of trading. All right. Any final questions, or we'll end our session here? I know one thing, it better not run for this lunchtime low now. I've been looking for this all afternoon. All right, Fauci, see you tomorrow. All right, looks like we got all of our questions in and we did everything we needed to do today. So I want to thank everyone for another good session, great session actually. Thank you to everyone who uses the chat and keeps our community growing and keeps the information flowing. Make sure that questions are being answered. Yeah, can't thank you guys enough for all of that, for the participation and for the love and support you show every day. Again, if you are brand new, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you get invitations for all future sessions. If this is not your first rodeo and you enjoy coming by and you're here every day or, several times per week, if you haven't already, just hit the like on your way out. And I do appreciate you being here. I appreciate everything you're doing. And thank you guys. Till the next time, I'll see you in the morning, 9:15. Cheers all.